photograph, and then you also have political cartoon. We'll look at the photograph first. The political cartoon for you is obviously copied in black and white. There is some coloration to it, so if you wanted to make a note that President Trump has a red tie, you can make note of that. I don't think it's really going to be a big thing for you so far as to how you would end up using the cartoon. But when we do take a look at the color version, you can figure out what it is you want to do. For visual sources, and this doesn't necessarily work in all parts for all sources, because sometimes visual sources will be a photograph, sometimes it will be a cartoon, sometimes it could be a painting. It could be a staged photograph as opposed to like a live shot that's taking place. They can also be charts and graphs and things like that. They can kind of go all over. A good thing to kind of keep in mind, and you can write this on the back of the visual sources, or if you want a clean sheet of paper, it doesn't matter. A good acronym to keep in mind for the visual sources is OPTIC, which is kind of nice and has visual connections to visual sources. And the whole idea of OPTIC is just simply to give you some tools, some ways, some things to think about when looking at the visual source. Stands for overview. P is parts. T is title, if applicable. Not applicable to either of the two visuals that you have, but again, if you're dealing with like a work of art, a painting, it could be. Visual sources have been photographs of like monuments before and statues, so it could be like the statue of the title of the monument or the statue. I is inferences, and then C is conclusion. So, and generally I would say this is kind of the order that people would go in for the most part, although title could kind of vary. First thing is overview of the picture of the source. What do you see? What's going on? Once you kind of have a general concept, all right, what are some specific elements, some specific parts of it that you start to notice that maybe there's a little bit more meaning or significance to? Title, how could the title relate? Again, in our case, it's not really going to tie in since we don't have titles. Then what are some inferences that you can make? And this is the one where people sometimes like it, sometimes don't, because you are making an educated guess, but you're certainly not 100% certain about it. And as long as your inference can certainly be well supported from the visual and it ties into the prompt, to the issue, to the argument, you're probably going to be okay. And then what is like the final conclusion that can be drawn from it? So taking a look at the photograph. So only worry about this one. Overview, what do you see? So far as what's happening, what's going on, like the initial reaction. So first one, only photograph.
Blacks and whites are holding hands together.
Okay.
It looks like that's screaming.
I'm not going to regret writing down because I'll end up going over the photo. So blacks and whites holding hands, chanting, screaming, yelling, something along those lines. Okay, Kobe?
Looks like they're at some kind of assembly.
Some kind of assembly. Okay. By assembly, like protest or?
Like a speech or something.
Okay.
It looks like they're joining together.
All right.
Happily not like.
So amongst themselves, they're not being forced to hold hands or anything like that.
I was gonna say it looks pretty peaceful, as in like they're not attacking each other.
And this is where things can, yeah, certainly like amongst themselves, there doesn't seem to be any, argument going on. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like literally the most peaceful protest that could take place, number 10 being all-out riot, where do you think this one falls?
Like a 2.
2? Okay.
No, you said 10 is all over.
10 is all-out riot.
I'd say 5 because they're like.
No, 1 peaceful, 10 all-out riot. So, and same question we had first period. We had some going like 4 or 5. I think someone went up to a 6. And then we also had some that were like at 2. And again, we don't know. And to be honest, I don't know specifically what the demonstration is that's taking place with it. I purposely did not one that I knew so that I wouldn't be like judging, no, actually you're wrong with this one. It's actually a picture of this and whatnot. I wanted to keep it purposely kind of ambiguous. Byron?
There's a chair.
There is.
They were sitting down, all of them at some point. So I think Cody might be right. They were.
You can see, looks like a chair down here, and then there was a sign behind someone that I could see a chair before, and of course now I can't see it.
It's like
Oh, right
or
here.
something.
Right there, in between the shirt and coat and above the hand, looks like there's a little bit of a chair.
There's like more obviously right in that hand, like at the bottom left corner.
Well, like this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I circled that one.
Circle.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's blocked.
There, we'll.
Oh.
Ag.
It's still blocked.
Oh wait, there's a circle like darken it out in a square like.
You're figuring. And triangles, what do you think?
Naughty.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. But it'll go away, so that's okay. All right, so now what's kind of taking place, and Byron's kind of shifting things here. Now that we're taking a look at chairs, we're kind of jumping into what are some parts that we're starting to see. So clearly we have, some kind of demonstration, rally, assembly taking place. Now, what are specific things that we start to notice? So, obvious ones could be the holding of hands that is happening. What else do you see? So chair, hands, Jake?
Not on the other one.
But they're, crossing arms as well? Okay, so you're more kind of like tied together, so to speak, Justin? Yeah, formal, certainly formal. Here you have overalls. Behind him, over here, you can see overalls as well. So you certainly have a mix of races. You could probably also argue then that you might have a mix of social classes, wealth, yeah, stuff like that.
They also it's not just one specific race. It's dressed lower, they're both black and white people who are wearing suits.
Yeah, suit, kind of like plaid shirt. And then also, not only do you have men, but you also can see, especially in the corner, that you have women there present as well. So mix of gender, mix of race, mix of social class. Kobe, and then Sean will come to you.
It seems like they're all part of a specific group because they got patches on their shirts.
Okay, yeah, you can see a little bit button there, and then also button over here. Looks like could be a handkerchief, but it looks like that's probably a button also that he has, or some kind of emblem, or what? Well, yeah, right there. So some kind of organization has certainly kind of taken place, whether it's a specific group that is protesting, assembling, or amongst these people, there has been some organization, some structure to it.
I don't know if it's coincidence, but it seems like there's a pattern, like in the first row it goes black, white, black, and in the second row it's black, white, white. So they're showing unity that both races are together.
Okay, so when the hands get held, and yeah, I don't think it's coincidence. I would think it's being done purposely. You're alternating. So it's one thing if it'd be, hey, show of unity. All blacks have arms together. All men have arms together. All whites have arms together. All white women have arms together. But you have that mix which is taking place. So yeah, more unity, cohesiveness, continuity would argue that is probably happening there. Up at the top, there's a flag.
There's a sign. I don't know what it says.
Which sign are we looking at?
It's like BETA.
Where are you?
Oh,
Oh,
I see.
right here.
Right there.
Oh, I see that. Good eye. You kissed that
Anything else? How about, we don't have title, how about any inferences that you would make from this as to what is happening? Whether it be something that you can see in the picture or something that you can't see in the picture.
A peace rally.
Okay.
Between two races to show unity for themselves / against a greater force.
Okay.
I would probably assume this might be like taking someplace that where police contact where the police or task force, so this could be like a sign of like we're not backing down.
Okay, so from a visual perspective, it wouldn't be shocking to you if I'm facing this way that I would be like police officer and they're facing me. Okay, so not necessarily like violence taking place, but clearly they are, yelling, singing, shouting, chanting at
Something.
someone, something. So who possibly could be some, and if you're not sure about, police necessarily, certainly would think it, and you might have said the word, some type of authority, that could be in charge. If you were to pick like decade, 50s, 60s, 70s, 60s, based on clothing, okay, and certainly, civil rights movement, you can't think of 1960s. All right, so comparable to letter from Birmingham jail, so far as time, era, period, stuff like that. Any other inferences? Any conclusions that you would draw from it? And so as conclusion, kind of think of it not, I don't want to say as like a statement, but an overall idea, argument, concept that you would say the photograph down below, the political cartoon, is trying to communicate.
That like rallying together and protest can be effective.
Okay. And that's two, it's important and it can end up being effective. Okay. Now again, you don't know what the prompt is, and you'll certainly see it a little bit later on. But you can take that statement, that Annalise made or Kobe, something similar, and you could put, this is what source, D, right? D next to it, you're using the source, you're using the picture. You don't have to write a paragraph about all the little details that you see with it. Now, you certainly could take a detail, a concept, something specific as like the alternating of races and locking arms and unity that way, kind of heightening it that, segregation, discrimination isn't just a black problem, it's not just a white issue, it's not just male, female, and those specific parts can still have a lot to do with it. Looking at socioeconomic unity kind of coming together, those would all be concepts that you could pull from the picture. So, there's certainly the cliche, a picture can speak 1,000 words. You can get a lot of different ideas and concepts coming from an image from it. This one's certainly open to interpretation. I think political cartoons really make themselves open to interpretation as well. This one I can kind of write on because I got more space. So, overview, what are some things that overall, message coming across? Initial reactions, I guess.
Well, definitely the stature of Trump and the size of him versus the size of the man who's representing Puerto Rico. Definitely thinks there's an imbalance of power.
Okay, so Trump versus Puerto Rico with that overall imbalance. Okay. Any other overview, big picture?
Well, he's saying something about his own country and ignoring Puerto Rico.
And here's the nice thing about political cartoons, and it can certainly happen with some other sources as well. You literally have text that you can look at. That's nice to have. It helps reaffirm something, as opposed to these might be the letters that are on a sign, that we're not necessarily sure of. You have specific ideas, issues that are taking place. If this were question mark rather than saying Puerto Rico, we could have an argument over who is that person, who is that image figure supposed to represent. Pretty clear that that person is going to be representing Puerto Rico in this case. What else? And this can also be specific parts that you notice a little bit.
You kind of see him talking more about the National Football League and that little incident there, rather than focusing on the matter of Puerto Rico.
Okay, so we have football national anthem issue versus Puerto Rico and hurricane relief issue. So you do have two completely different topics that, this could kind of get you into referencing. You might go into some kind of argument about National Football League protests and you would still be able to use the source. You could certainly talk about Puerto Rico and relief and aid or lack thereof. You could use this source and talk about, the contrast, the juxtaposition of these two things, and certainly use the source. So the nice thing is the text gives you a lot of options out there where you could go in different ways. Byron, then Sean will come to you.
Going super broad, it's obviously a criticism of the president.
You say obviously, but what would be things that kind of cement that for you?
His face looks ugly.
Okay.
It just looks sort of dumpy and his thighs too long.
Like, what do you think about the proportion of them?
Oh, it's saying he has a big
Oh,
head
okay.
because he's
Big-
like full of himself in his country.
Okay, so arguments could be, well, okay, big head, means ego. First period, someone made the comment, looks like a baby. Big head, little body, and then I forget the word that you said, like a. Did you say dumpy or
I
from
said
dumpy? They're like
you can
the,
also say flumpy if you want to.
the clothes don't fit. And it's like a baby wearing clothes that they never quite look right. And I said, well, all right, if he looks like a baby, why then? Immaturity, lack of experience, those types of things. So those are certainly inferences that would be coming across. The tie, is the tie too long on purpose? I mean, I'm sure it is. Is it meant because, to kind of heighten that doesn't look right? Or is it, why else did the tie be long?
Because I think that the tie kind of represents the resources that we have in hand to help Puerto Rico, but we're just not giving it to them.
Well, and what's going, like, along those lines, what's going on down here?
It kind of looks like Puerto Rico's like grabbing on the tie, like how little kids do, like pull on like their parents' clothes to give their attention.
Yeah, and so, that tie could, maybe it wasn't always that long, but after pulling, tugging at it. So therefore, if it is being tugged at, and you're still looking this way, finger pointing that way, then you could certainly go being ignored. Sean, you had a hand up a while ago.
Can you only use these sources, or can you further them?
You can further it, yes. You just have to make sure you use at least 4
Okay.
of these sources. So
Okay.
you can add stuff onto it if you wanted to.
Couldn't the tie also be too long because like he tends to tie his ties too long?
He does wear long ties, yeah. And it's perfectly possible because certainly with political cartoons, and no president is immune to this, you find certain features and then they accentuate them. And yeah, if you take a look at President Trump, his ties do tend to be quite long, so it could absolutely be playing off that. Also, with the sheer size, proportion, whether you're talking about baby head, large ego, things like that, I think you could also make the argument that the whole image, the whole figure, it's not just representative of a president, but it's representative of whole country, government, stuff like that. When Harvey, Irma, Maria's the one that hit Puerto Rico.
Yes.
For a
Yeah,
hurricane. You go to stores and would you like to donate, $2 to hurricane relief efforts for this place, and this place? And it was a common theme in a lot of places. I think I was at Home Depot or Lowe's, because those are like the only stores I go to. Where I was waiting in line and they asked the question, would you like to donate, I think they said for Irma relief, Maria relief, or both? And the person said, I would like to donate for Hurricane Irma because I want to donate to my own country.
But it's Puerto Rico's territory. It's not like Puerto Rico is part of America or anything.
No, it is. It's
Yeah.
territory.
If that was sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And I don't know what the number would be, but what percentage of people, I don't mean high school, but I mean like in general, even say voting age, so older than you, what percentage of people do you think don't realize that Puerto Rico is part of United States?
I'm gonna go
80%.
And I don't have the number, but most people have been sitting in that 70 to 90%. So, certainly that might be something that you kind of play off of, where more concerned about, football players and national anthem, as opposed to, it's not like it's foreign aid that you're dealing with, it's domestic issues, but you certainly have a territory, an island, a community, a culture that kind of tends to be neglected. Those could all be things that you would be able to play off of using this source.
Did you tell the person in line that Puerto Rico is part of the U.S.?
I did not. I thought about it. Probably should have.
Do you think the worker who heard it knew?
Shh, I don't remember what she said. If it was,
You could have, seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember what she said.
Tomorrow was like, okay.
Conclusion.
This shows the opposite effect of source D.
Okay.
Because while source D is focused on like the power of unity, this is focused more on construction of not being unified on a issue, not being educated about it, and not being focused on it.
So you would say like these two things like opposed could juxtapose one another, and you can absolutely use sources against one another. And kind of highlight a contrast. The nice thing about that is it knocks out two sources. Keep in mind, and we'll certainly talk about this as we look at your prompt tomorrow and on Monday, you don't have to base a paragraph around a singular source. You could absolutely have a paragraph that does not use any sources. Sean mentioned, can I use like outside things to go into it further? Sure, you could use one of these as a stepping stone to do some things. You could absolutely come up with your own ideas based on the prompt, which again, you haven't seen yet. So it kind of limits you as to, well, what you think you might do.
So yeah, use big sources, but you could just use this, like one of these maybe is like a reference and kind of go on to something else.
Sure. Yeah. The main thing with the synthesis, and I'm going to say this all the time, you'll get sick of it, but the whole hope is it kind of sinks in. The biggest issue that people have with the synthesis essay, and I don't mean this specific assignment, but just with the prompt in general, is they summarize the sources or they base their argument entirely on the source. The hope with using the source is that it is like a stepping stone. It makes you think about things further. So we were talking when we looked at the 2015 AP exam, the whole spy cam cartoon that was up there, spy cameras, forget how it was worded, but help with honor code. We started talking about trust. And that term wasn't used in the source, but that could develop into our own idea, our own concept. Blank sheet of paper. You need a blank sheet of paper. You can stay in a notebook. You don't have to rip it out, but you need a blank sheet of paper. And you need 3 columns, so 2 lines.
S with an after line.
So I can see your statements.
First column, A. Second column, N. Third column, V. A, N, V. Sean's thinking A stands for...
I don't think that.
No, don't think it.
I was
I'm
gonna
not-
say
I'm
that
not-
the V is vindication for the rights of woman, but then I was like, those don't work, because that's not civil disobedience. Unless you're doing civil disobedience.
Vindication. Looking at the photo, so not going to do political cartoon for this one. Looking at the photo, without using people, hands, protesters. Come on. It's on my screen. Show up there.
We know what you're saying.
All right, yeah. People, hands, protesters, men, women. Those are off limits. Middle column, give me 5 nouns. Nouns.
Oh, adjective, noun, verb.
That you see in the photo.
Or
So, can't use people, can't use hands, can't use protesters. Hey, it's up there. Can't use men, can't use women.
wait, we can't see, but we can like include things about them.
Sure.
So like I can include shirts if I want.
If you wanted to.
Okay.
I'm hoping for something better, but
So
that's why we're going for 5. So 5.
Hands protest.
So you only be 5?
5. 5 nouns.
Can I add more?
Sure. I mean, don't go like shirt, button, tie, chins, nose. I'm hoping for more. Now, Sean, your nouns could be abstract,
Define abstract.
not something that you actually
See.
visually, tangibly see. So it could still be based on protesters' hands, people, men, women, you know, but I just don't want you falling on using those. It's got that NESS, it's a noun.
I think you
Oh,
need
man,
to-
yes. That was
So then I can That's hilarious.
Kobe, what's a noun you have?
power.
Power. Jake, what's a noun? Peace. Emma, what's one you have?
Diversity.
Diversity. If someone says one that you really like, you can write it down. Lindsay, what's one you have? Unity. Lizzie, what's one? Class. Sure. Grace?
Integration.
Integration. Byron, what's one?
Conviction.
Conviction. Okay. Alyssa, which one? Equality. Anyone else have one they want to share?
Same reason.
No.
Because they're all there for the same reason.
Which is reason.
That is a noun.
Sean.
Reason is.
Reason.
Reason's a noun.
I thought I wrote through like a
Purpose?
Purpose. That's the word I was looking for.
Kobe? Kobe, what was one?
I get chastised.
What? Resistance. Okay. Of the ones here that we have, what are like 4 that we like?
I feel like
Unity.
how?
Unity.
Okay, so her unity, integration, conviction,
Diversity.
diversity.
Yeah,
I kinda
Okay.
like it.
Now, of these for these 4, think of 2 adjectives to describe each noun. We 2 adjectives for a noun. So how would you describe diversity, unity, and you can't say diverse diversity. How would you describe diversity, unity, integration, conviction? You can talk amongst yourselves, you know, if need. 2 adjectives. Yeah. In theory. I don't know if we'll have time for it, but in theory.
Yeah, at least in theory. What?
Unity.
Actually, tell you what, for time, pick like 1 or 2 of them, but at least we're all looking at the same set of words that we've highlighted. Kobe, stay away from power just because we didn't highlight it. You can use it later on your own time. But
Wait, like is an adjective? Is that right? I was gonna say like powerful.
oh, you can use powerful, sure.
I think unity, like,
Annalise, did you come up with an adjective?
Yeah, you got this. Yellow.
yellow.
Well, I guess like powerful or like forceful.
Alright.
For which one?
Effective. Unity.
Effective unity. Okay. Ashley, any adjectives? Strong conviction.
I like it.
Justin, any adjectives? For which? Noel, any adjectives? That's not a good one. Grace?
That's a good.
Peaceful integration.
Peaceful integration.
I like it.
Any others out there? You can raise hand. Lizzie? Racial diversity? Kobe?
Diverse integration.
We're like are combining our terms now. Anything for conviction? Powerful conviction. Jake, you have any? Powerful unity. I'll put it down here just so we get to for conviction. Anybody have anything for diversity? We got racial, unique. All right, now what's the next task? Give me a verb.
How many would you like?
Just one.
Oh,
So what is the racial unique diversity doing? What is the effective outspoken unity doing? What is peaceful diverse integration doing? What is strong powerful conviction doing? And we can even start to say this one out loud. Like what I use that one for unity, but I could use it for some others. So like,
I thought we were just coming up.
so
Oh,
strong
we're coming up
powerful
with one
conviction
word.
could be like unifying.
Oh, we're thinking of one verb.
What would be some other verbs?
Fight.
Which one?
Fight.
Fighting? Any particular one?
Integration.
Okay. Any others?
The racial diversity, you can say strengthens.
I like that one. Write a sentence using racial unique diversity strengthens, but I don't want the sentence to begin with any of those words or the. No the. Write a sentence using racial unique diversity strengthened or strengthening, you know, you can kind of change the tense for it, but don't start with those words and don't start with the word the. Right here, that's fighting, that's unifying. But let's go with this one for now. Racial unique diversity strengthen sentence not using the or not using any of those words. So those words will be in the sentence, but you're not starting with racial unique diversity strengthens America. It's too general. You got something? You can't raise your hand and then go, wait a minute.
Sorry, sorry.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, read it.
Together, racial and unity, diversity strengthens our country.
So together, racial and unique diversity strengthens our country. Okay.
Progressive power at the hands of segregation. Segregationists actually strengthens the racial unique diversity that changed America forever.
Okay, so we kind of like reverse the wording of it a little bit, but we're still incorporating those ideas. Any others? Justin has one. He's making eye contact. What are we doing?
A
Thesis.
thesis.
You're not making a thesis.
We're making
You're
a
making sentences, and we don't really spend a whole lot of time, and probably we should spend a little bit more time practicing writing. Writing class. But we're coming up with ways to incorporate the sources into your argument. Where people, I think, will fall into a trap is they'll look at the photo. And again, it could still be effectively used, but they'll go protesters, men and women, holding hands. You're still getting that idea across with racial unique diversity strengthen the nation as a whole, but I would say your word choice is a heck of a lot stronger. The idea is a heck of a lot stronger when you start thinking about words that aren't necessarily the first one that come to mind. Same thing with saying don't use the. It's not that articles are bad, but when we don't know what to start a sentence with, we start usually with the novel, the argument, the purpose. So we want to diversify, to kind of take one of our words, you know, our own language, syntax, and all that kind of stuff with it.
Did you know that the next word after the, if it starts with that one sentence, it's the, if it starts with a vowel like the.
Oh, sorry. Like,
Did you know that? I never knew that until today.
Sean,
Consistent. though, like that would always be said that like you wouldn't necessarily go
The unit.
yeah, like the unicorn or like the evolution. I think we probably do tend to do that.
Oh, okay.
But it's not like
Would it?
if you were to say the evolution of mankind,
We'll get it next time, bud.
it's not going to be. No, you can't say it that way.
Okay.
I would think that you're probably right in the correct time.
Yeah, because we were singing today during chorus, and Mr. Clunan told me that like it would be instead of the
Yeah.
Eve, it's the Eve, and I freaked out. I was so excited.
Now, with you think about especially with song and poetry, when you have the before something with the
Yeah.
vowel, that's where you get the apostrophe a lot. You know, so that you have like that one less syllable.
Okay.
So they'll kind of like connect those things together. And I don't know if that's where it originates from. But,
Okay.
but with like poetry, that happens a lot.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Cheers, kid.